So when are you having Trump on?
I don't know.
Okay. The look
I don't know. Maybe.
looks like you got something.
Maybe.
Okay, good. That's good. I think that's.
Look, at a certain point in time, it's just like it would be interesting to hear his perspective on a lot of things. I would like to know, what is it like when you actually get into office? I would like to know things like what is it like versus perception?
Yeah.
What is it actually like when you get in that building? Like what are you greeted with? When do you know that people are fucking with you? When do you know that the intelligence agency is lying to you? Like when you decided to fire Comey, what was the thought? How much did you know? Like what's the machine like? What is the deep state really like? Really like? Because we have all these, smoky room perceptions, like from the Bill Hicks joke, where they show you the Kennedy assassination from an angle you've never seen before. What is the machine that runs this country? Because it's very clear that it's not as simple as elected representatives that are doing the will of the people. It's not.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing you and Trump together.
You keep pushing that.
I think, okay, I'll tell you from my perspective, like, on why you ought to consider it when you do it. I'll just give you my...
Okay.
Just so you know, he and I don't speak. It's not something that is like, hey, his camp saying go in there and do this and do that. No, I've never interviewed the guy, so it's not like I'm, lobbying for it. But I think if, when you think about sports or you think about fights, what is the boxing world if Frazier Ali never happens, right? What is the UFC world if DC John Jones doesn't happen or Khabib Conor doesn't happen? And they're both at their peak and those fights don't happen. We can go on with sports, with baseball, with, interviews of Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jackson. You go look at, some of these things that happen with Larry King or her and, a bunch of different guys. He's a guy that's probably the most misunderstood by a side. And a guy that...
How do you think he's misunderstood? In what way?
I think the media has really painted this guy to be evil. I like to talk to people I fully disagree with. And I think they're delusional in certain areas to understand, like, what makes you believe what you just said?
Right.
Like, I don't understand what you just said.
Right.
Tell me how you could be that convinced you're right, right?
Right.
Cenk was on the podcast yesterday. And Cenk is convinced he's a better businessman than Trump. I mean, how could you say something like, but he's convinced. And he says, no, he's a loser. Trump's a loser. I said, dude, what do you mean there's only two things he's won in his life? I said, there's only two things he's won in his life? Yes. Yeah, there's only two things he's ever won in his life. And this is the second time Cenk and I having a conversation together. Politically, we're on very different sides. I'm just trying to find out, why do you think this way, right? And he says, yeah, only two things. He's a great marketer, and he did this. I said, first of all, 15 years. Apprentice. Good luck. Go do. No, he had great producers. I don't care if you have the greatest producers in the world. You can hire any producers Joe has and go try to match Joe's numbers with podcasts. Yeah, because it's his producers. No, it's a lot of work. 15 years. Book. How many years does Art of the Deal does? Well, yeah, but Pat, imagine if you started with $430 million. You would have been richer than him today. I said, $430 million. What's this $430 million? He got $430 million. Are you like counting in today's money versus, well, it's estimated this. Okay, he got $1 million, he got $14 million, no problem. He got family money. I'm willing to make the case that you are more likely to screw up your life if your family gives you money. He says, what do you mean?
Yeah.
I said, so I went and studied. I got 4 kids now. We're going, we've done estate planning multiple times, but now I just sold the insurance company, so I have to sit there and see what am I going to be doing with some of this money that came out of nowhere? Goldman, Morgan, estate planning. Do we do this? Do we do that? Let's go study it. We put our research team, go find out who did it right out of all the families. Okay. The Medici family, 7 generations, they kept the wealth within the family. What are they doing? And boom, 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 boom. Great. Vanderbilt family, the money lasted 1 generation, maybe 2. Like when, Anderson Cooper's mom's like, look, we're Vanderbilts, but you ain't get nothing. You got to make your own money, right? Okay. The Rockefeller family, they're at 3 or 4. Okay. We can go through all these families. Most of them that get a lot of money, the kid becomes a what? Drug addict, drug dealer, spoiled. They don't work. They're not this. They're not that.
Right.
Okay. So let's just say he did get the money. And he still doesn't do drugs. And he doesn't do alcohol. And his vice is women. And he works his ass off in business. And he makes it where he makes it to. yeah, it's very easy to make the argument that actually if you do come with money, it's a harder life than a person that doesn't get money, to have that drive and ambition. Not necessarily it's a harder life to have that
Right.
fire, the ambition that,
Right.
you can't teach that. You either got it or
Right.
you don't have it, right? Okay. So then we go into politics. So let me get this straight. This guy wins in New York. He becomes a billionaire. He wins on TV. He's won with women. He's partied with everybody. In 1988, he's doing an interview with Oprah Winfrey, and Oprah Winfrey says, hey, you sound like you're going to run for office. No, I have no interest, but if I ever did, I'd win. Okay. Then he runs. Everybody thinks it's just a marketing deal that he's doing. And then when he wins, I don't know if you remember when he walked down, he's like, even him himself, they were kind of like surprised. Babe, we just won.
Right.
And the day before, the odds were if you bet $100, you'd have to bet $350 to win $100 on Hillary. But if you bet $100, I think you win $550 with Trump or some number like that. The underdog won, the greatest underdog of all time of politics, right? Okay. So let's fast forward 20 years from now. Let's go to 2043. We're doing a podcast, you're 75. Okay? I don't know if you're doing podcasts, but that'd be one hell of a podcast at 75. And maybe we feel a little bit more comfortable coming out at that time because we're traditionalists, we're older generation. Then maybe we're a little bit more careful about what people think about us right now. But at 75, we look back and we look at the list of podcasters. Who are the greatest podcasters of all time? Joe Rogan at the top, GOAT. Who's the greatest this, that? And he's like, dude, but he never interviewed that guy Trump. I'm going to be like, what are you talking about? Wait, let me get this straight. The greatest podcaster of all time never interviewed Trump at a time that he didn't do that? Dude, that's crazy. I don't believe it. Why not? It had to be personal. It had to be this. So to me, I think the guy that's going to interview him in a way that nobody else is going to interview him, you're going to ask some questions that you want to know about. Like, hey, what happened with JFK? Are we really going to find out? Can you commit to us? Are you going to come out with the files or no? So I really want to know. Last time you said you did, but you only gave us 80%. Are we going to get the other 20%? Aliens. What the hell is going on with these aliens? Are we going to know or no? Can you give us a glimpse? Do you think we should know?
I don't think he'd tell you anything about that.
But what I'm saying...
I think that would be a waste of time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is
Maybe I'm wrong.
Whatever angles you choose to take,
right?
Okay, it's your show. You get to take whatever angles you want to take. I think it'd be very weird to look back. There's going to be no mainstream media 20 years from now. You know that, I know that. To look back and say Joe never interviewed Trump, that's kind of weird. So that's my pitch to you.
Good. I like weird.
You like weird?
I like things that are weird.
I don't know about that. I think I think one.
Why don't you interview him?
Why don't I interview him? I think if I give you my assessment on why.
Have you ever tried?
I'll give you my assessment on why I think.
Okay.
I think if he's him, okay, you're here, Joe. Everybody else is below you. In this space, not mainstream. In mainstream, he'll do Tucker. He'll do, Megyn Kelly, whatever. I don't know if he's done Megyn Kelly. He hasn't done it, but he'll do Tucker. He'll do Brett Baier. He'll do Hannity. He'll do all that stuff. But in this lane we're in, you have to do you first. Then comes everybody else. He can't do that. So I think we come after you come. If I'm his advisor, I would advise him, you can't go to anybody else unless you go to Joe first. And I'm telling you from a perspective of if I'm his counsel, I would say you go to Joe, then you go XYZ. Everybody else is XYZ Joe. You're Joe. Everyone else is XYZ. Okay? And I think he knows that, and I think the person in control right now is not him. It's you. Like the person in control with Hunter is Hunter's camp, not you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Hunter, no, Joe, whoever gets to say no, they're in control.
Right.
So, but from your perspective, what's going on in America today, I would say if you don't do the podcast with him, you're helping the establishment and you're helping a guy named Joseph Biden. I think you're helping that person. That's kind of weird. But indirectly in your mind, you're helping Joseph Biden win by not interviewing Trump.
Did you come on this podcast specifically to
No.
try to get me to interview Trump?
No, you brought up Trump multiple times. I never brought it up.
It seems like you did.
Yeah,
I think you